It sounds like I'm talking myself out of a job. When do you need bookkeeping for your author business? It's actually the wrong question, but it might be one of the most common questions that I get whenever I present to authors on taxes and finances and bookkeeping. You don't actually want bookkeeping. You don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I don't have bookkeeping. Now you might wake up in the middle of the night thinking, I don't know how I'm gonna get my taxes done because I don't know any of my numbers. Or you might wake up thinking, I don't know how much money I'm making or where all of it's going or how long my money is gonna last. So whenever you're buying bookkeeping, you're paying for bookkeeping, or you're doing bookkeeping, you're not doing it because you just really want some bookkeeping. You're doing it because you want a particular outcome. So the first question you actually have to answer before you answer the question of whether or not you need bookkeeping is, why do you think you need bookkeeping? Because honestly, if you could get the outcome, if you could get the numbers you need for your taxes, if you could figure out how much money you're making, if you could know when your money's going to run out without doing any bookkeeping, you would be okay. You'd be happy with that. It's kind of like if I go into a bookstore, I'm not going to walk in saying like, I'm looking for some writing. I'm looking for some ink on a page bound together. I might say I'm looking for a book, but realistically, I'm not even looking for a book. I'm looking for a story. I'm looking for entertainment. I'm looking for something to escape from this life. I'm looking to learn something. I'm looking for whatever the benefits are of the writing. But I couldn't care less if you wrote that book dictating it into your phone, or if you typed it on a mechanical typewriter by candlelight in an abandoned lighthouse by the sea. Okay, that would actually be pretty cool. But the point is, like, the way that you push the buttons on the keyboard or the way that you get the words on the page is part of your internal processes that output the thing that I'm actually trying to buy. And it's the same thing with bookkeeping. The way we get the numbers, the way we get the tax return, the way we get the information, whether we're pressing buttons or putting things into QuickBooks or doing things on a spreadsheet, is really irrelevant as long as you're getting the accurate data that you need. I've been thinking a lot about this lately and the things that we offer our clients, and to say, like, what is bookkeeping? What's included in bookkeeping? What should it be? Should it just be categorizing income and expenses for your tax return, or should it be something else? Should we be layering something on top of it? And it really got me thinking about whether or not the bookkeeping's even necessary. And I think at the end of the day, for a lot of the things that we're trying to do, the bookkeeping part is necessary. But again, I think it's just an internal part of what we do to provide you with the information or the thing that you need from the bookkeeping. So I really want to start reframing how we talk about what we do. And if I'm going to send you a proposal, I don't want it to say bookkeeping, because what does that even mean? And what's the benefit of bookkeeping? But I also don't want to get too far on the other side of it, where you see these proposals and they're just full of just, I don't know, nothingness. There's just full of word salad that's meant to evoke all this high value that you're getting, but none of it means anything. Like, I want to be straightforward. I want to be transparent. And so that's what we've always defaulted to saying, like, we're giving you bookkeeping, or maybe we're giving you income and expense tracking, because that's a little bit more specific to what we're actually doing, but it still doesn't really speak to the value of what you're getting. So here's what I'm thinking that we would say you're getting whenever you get bookkeeping. Instead of saying bookkeeping, I'm thinking we'd say you get revenue insights. You know how much money you made and how much money you spent over the previous month. You get a video walkthrough of your numbers so that you understand them and have an opportunity to understand them. You can stop being surprised by taxes in April, because since we're doing the bookkeeping, we can give you accurate quarterly estimates on how much you should be paying in each quarter, if anything. You get a fast, accurate tax return because we can have the bookkeeping in place all year long, so we're not having to wait to get things done at the end of the year. You get insights into your numbers and what books are actually selling and what series are doing better. And as I'm saying all this, I feel like this sounds like a sales pitch, and that's not what this video is for. I think instead what I'm trying to say is you need to think about what it is you're trying to get from the bookkeeping. If you want bookkeeping just because you've heard every business needs bookkeeping in place, then that's not really good enough. You have to know why. So what are some of the reasons you might want bookkeeping? The very, very basic, most basic reason you would want bookkeeping in place is to be able to prepare a tax return. You need to know how much money came in and how much money went out that you can deduct on your taxes. But do you need bookkeeping, month-to-month bookkeeping, to get that number? Honestly, not necessarily. Here's what you could do instead. Set up a separate business bank account, which you should be doing anyway. You should not be mixing your personal and business money together at all. So you have a separate business bank account. At the end of the year, you can get an Excel export of all your transactions from your business bank account. And then in that Excel sheet, just add another column and start putting categories. If it's a deposit, it's probably income, unless if you put personal money into the business. And if it's money coming out of the business, just put the broad category that it would be in. I'll put a link, if I can think about it, to another video where I walk through the different categories that you would use for your tax return. So use those as the categories categories that you use to categorize your expenses on that spreadsheet. And with a couple of formulas after that, you could put together the totals of each one of those categories and just use that to prepare your taxes. If the thought of having to do that at the end of the year to cover the entire year makes you stressed out, then you could also just do this on a month-to-month or even quarter-to-quarter basis so that you're not doing it all at once. But that's not necessarily bookkeeping. That's really just categorizing. So let's say you have that in place, and the next thing that you really want to know is how much money you're making from each book or each series. You don't even really need bookkeeping for that either. And in fact, if you're using QuickBooks and you're connecting QuickBooks to your bank and it's showing you your deposits and you're recording your deposits as income, that's not going to give you any insight whatsoever into how much you made per book or per series or what platform it was from or anything like that. So if you just want a breakdown of your revenue, then you have a couple of different options here. If you're doing direct sales, you can just look at Shopify or whatever your website is for that, and it's probably going to give you the information you're looking for. But if you're doing Amazon or some other retailer, then get something like Book Report, where it's going to show you exactly how much you're making from each book. It's even going to calculate your read through. It's going to calculate your page reads and the equivalent book reads if you're doing KU. I'll put another link to a walkthrough that Liam, the creator of Book Report, did for us for this channel, if you want to check that out. But again, the point is, if you're just wanting to get insights into the revenue side of your business, you can do that without bookkeeping. You can just go to the source of where that revenue is, and they're probably going to have that data for you. Now, what are some cases where bookkeeping might actually be beneficial? Because it sounds like I'm talking myself out of a job. Honestly, if somebody is just categorizing expenses for you the way that you could do it in Excel, you have to think about whether or not you're getting any benefit out of that. Maybe it's just the time that you're saving from having to do it yourself. But if they're not giving you any insights into those numbers, or they're not available for questions, then again, all you're doing is saving the time of doing it yourself. And so that time savings has to be worth the money that you're paying. If that time savings isn't enough to justify the cost, then you need to be getting something more out of it. Maybe it's somebody who's being proactive about what new expenses are coming through and whether or not you really signed up for this new subscription. Or someone who might point out red flags that they might see in your numbers based on what they know about authors or similar businesses to yours. Or maybe they could use those numbers to build projections so that they can help you figure out how much you're going to end up paying in taxes, or help you to see whether or not your cash is going to last for as long as you need it to. Anyway, the point of all this is just to understand what it is you need out of the numbers. You don't need bookkeeping necessarily. You need a tax return, you need data, you need insights, and maybe bookkeeping is the way to get that, but there might be other ways to get it too. So always start with why. Start with why you're doing something before doing it just because you feel like you have to, because you're a business owner and someone else said that you're supposed to do this. Okay, what am I asking for in the comments? I guess let me know if you have bookkeeping in place, what you're using it for. Are you getting anything out of it? Or if you don't have bookkeeping in place, how are you getting the numbers and the information that you need to run your business, file your taxes, do all that fun stuff? Let me know, and I will see you next time.